The situation with New York City is getting pretty heated. We're seeing a lot of people just simply leaving New York. It's not looking so good. We got the trucker boycotts, we got investors leaving, real estate developers pretty freaked out, and just everyday citizens and big businesses leaving New York. It's 2024, guys. You don't have to go to New York if you want to do finance or start a hedge fund. You don't have to go to the Bay Area to do tech. You could go to other places. There's a thing called online working, hybrid mode, whatever it is. We're seeing many people suddenly noticing that they don't have to put up with what a lot of these sanctuary cities are doing. So New York City is getting a lot of their business jacked from Toronto, dubbed the new Manhattan in the north. You got Miami, dubbed the new Manhattan of the south. I mean, it's crazy. Like, these cities always do well, right? If they just be normal for once, I think they could do really good business, but they refuse to do that. They always have to do some really crazy stuff, and now New York City is actually going broke. Now, look at this. U.S. truckers refuse shipment to New York City after Trump ban from New York business and fraud trial. Now, let me explain this to you guys real quick for all the peeps out there who don't know what's going on with Donald Trump and why he's forced to pay $355 million over fraud allegations. Okay, so number one, Trump has a $400 million building. It's the real estate world. So he used a building as collateral and he took out $200 million with the help of a small regional bank. Now, here's the thing. The bank said that they want to work with Trump. It wasn't like anything like blackmail or something crazy like that. Like, the bank was like, cool, we'll work with you. We'll set an interest rate for you. And here's $200 million and go build some buildings and invest in New York City. But apparently the judge was very biased against Trump, didn't want to hear what the bank had to say, and said that Trump was doing some fraud stuff. But dude, this is literally basic real estate 101. You put your building down, you take out some money using the building with a regional bank, and you make more skyscrapers. But unfortunately, Trump is now banned from all business deals in New York. And this is why many truckers are pretty furious about this. A lot of these truckers are now even getting on Tucker Carlson's show, which in my personal opinion, Tucker is the number one interviewer right now. Ever since his interview overseas, he has gotten immensely popular. As a journalist, that pretty much doesn't really have any sort of filter. Says what he wants and does what he wants. And many other reportings by him, I do watch. I think they're pretty legitimate. And now he's interviewing truckers, and this trucker boycott movement is real. It's not dying down or slowing down in steam. Now, one thing you guys need to know about the whole trucker situation, like for example, this gentleman, he talks about how not every single trucker is boycotting New York, obviously, right? There's going to be several thousands of truckers who's still willing to go to New York City. But there's one thing you need to know is about 20% of the truckers are boycotting New York City, which is a lot given the fact that if you just have a small dip in logistics for a big city like New York, prices go up through the roof. Now, of course, shelves are not empty in New York. They're still filled to the brim. But you got to know, many truckers are now being offered extra $2,000, extra $3,000 per load on their trucks just to go to New York. And given the fact that New York recently is already implementing new tolls, new taxes for truckers and regular cars, it's going to be an even bigger turnoff for many of these people who are going to New York City. But it's somewhat working, guys. It's already gaining a lot of attention from the mass media. We're already seeing many truckers refusing to go, and the price of goods is slowly going up. Now, another big thing you need to know about New York City is it is a hot mess right now. I don't know why this is always happening in Times Square, but it is. You got people getting shot, right? And now you have huge brawls. You have somebody getting stabbed. And just 2 hours later, it's happening a lot, right? And this is Times Square. It's supposed to be a place where tourists go, and especially international tourists. It's like just a tourist trap hotspot type of deal. And now you're telling me that it's crime infested? Yeah, this is not great for New York City. And word is already breaking out in a lot of international news media telling their tourists to avoid Times Square because it's so violent. It's getting really bad, guys. And not to mention the migrant situation in New York City is something that you don't even want to see, because this is kind of like what it looks like constantly. This is the East Village and one of the parks. Many of the residents who pay top dollar rent to live in this neighborhood, They came and walked their dog. It's just a massive migrant shelter camp. This is what New York City has truly become. People are honestly mad about New York. You got hardcore Democrats turning Republican. You got people who used to vote for Mayor Eric Adams now really considering why they did it. People always ask people why they did the migrant crisis. Why did New York pull this? Do they have to do the migrant situation? Not really. I mean, New York was built by migrants. If they just took in 1,000 to 2,000, maybe 3,000 people, I think most people would have been fine with it. But when you take it almost 100,000, now the city's going broke. You got veterans sleeping on the streets. The homeless get nothing to eat. But of course, the migrants get hotels every single day at some of the Manhattan's finest. You got 3 hot meals, prepaid credit cards. I mean, it just doesn't get better than that. But of course, our domestic homeless population is suffering. And now New York is also implementing some sort of really crazy $15 per trip over a bridge from New Jersey to Manhattan tax, which is making everyone mad, not just in New York City out right now. Now you got people mad at New Jersey. And apparently my crisis is so expensive. If only New York was willing to spend this sort of money in cleaning up their crime, their homelessness, and people literally starving, especially in some of their less fortunate boroughs, I think New York might just be one of the best cities in the US. But no, they are going to be spending almost $10 billion a year on the migrant crisis. Whereas, what about the everyday citizens that get taxed? Well, you don't really get much. And the MTA still sucks. Now, look at this. $2.4 billion is not enough for New York's migrant crisis, Eric Adams says. The mayor says that Albany, New York, and the rest of the federal government, hopefully, should give them more money. The city needs $4.6 billion for half of its yearly cost. Guys, this is crazy. This is so much money. Requesting $10 billion, this is like some sort of mega project. Like you're building some sort of massive dam or some sort of like massive bridge or a whole new city. But no, it's $10 million just for the migrant crisis. And New York is still taking in more migrants, even though they know they can't handle this sort of traffic. And it's not me saying this, guys, but even the S&P Global Ratings says that many cities, especially New York to Chicago to Denver, are all facing budget constraints. And they're on the verge of going broke because they chose to be a sanctuary city. Most of the citizens did not want this. Not really sure what's going on here. Not to mention, even guys in Harlem, Manhattan are very, very furious because apparently they decided to turn one of their empty luxury condo buildings in Harlem into a shelter for illegal migrants, which made a lot of people mad in Harlem because they're like, hold on a second, our own people are broke, they're in poverty, they're sleeping on the streets, some are almost being forced out of their apartments because of rising rents, but they don't get this sort of treatment like a free luxury building as a shelter. But of course, migrants do. So many of the Harlem residents came out to protest, which the mayor couldn't ignore. The mayor actually came to the meeting and said that he's no longer turning the luxury building into a shelter. This is crazy. Like, almost feels like if you're born in New York City, you get less stuff than people who migrated here. And like I said, everyone's okay with migrants, but just too many right now. The city is collapsing. They're running out of money. And public transportation sucks, crime's through the roof, shoplifting's everywhere. New York is no longer the city to be nowadays. And now, let's see what happens with the trucker boycott. This is one of the most interesting things out there. And by the way, guys, it's still going pretty strong. Thanks for watching, guys. Comment below, and see you later.